Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. Satellite imagery yesterday showing frontal system here pushing in toward the southeast coast. The bulk of the moisture though, or the main push off to the southeast, but moisture up along the North Gulf Coast. A nice day here, Kodiak Island, back up across Bristol Bay into the Kuskokwim Delta, Nunivak Island, and some variable clouds over the interior, and the usual lower clouds dropping down from the Arctic. There were some flurries and fog, or areas of light snow up along the Arctic coast, and mostly cloudy here through the Bering Strait. It's about St. Lawrence Island, and then the next system out there to the west. Today, having pulled eastward here, and quite a wind field with that as it pulls off to the east, wrapping back in from the Pribilofs down across the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. Very strong winds occurring today, but clearing out toward Adak and Atka with just some isolated snow showers, which ended. Then you pick up more snow showers out toward Shemya, and a system there south of Amchitka. Otherwise, the southeast coast, not too bad over the southern areas though, but trough up to the north brought some showers in, especially early on today. Mixture of precipitation over the northern southeast coast, and more of a rain pattern there for Yakutat, tapering off back toward Cordova. And then that front, a lot of moisture rotating up into the Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound areas, snow at Valdez, back down to Seward, and Soldovia picking up snow, rain, Kodiak, and kind of a mixed precipitation pattern here. Bristol Bay, mostly rain along the Alaska Peninsula. Yakutat picked up about 1.25 inches in the last 24 hours with this trough, lightening up and about ending here this afternoon, but again, mixed precipitation over the northern southeast coast, becoming mostly snow as you get up toward Haines and Skagway. Otherwise, some snow again from Valdez, down across the Seward Peninsula and to about Soldovia, and westward areas of snow or mixed rain and snow here from Bristol Bay, and windy with rain, about 2/3 of an inch having fallen at Kodiak, and the gusty northeast winds here. Areas of blowing snow really from northern Bristol Bay all the way up in toward the Kuskokwim River there at Bethel, where visibilities are down to 1 to 2 miles at times today with those northeast winds, snow blowing snow, and also carrying fog in the observation. Mostly dry over the interior, a few flurries along the eastern Alaska Range, Nebezna, and then kind of scattered onto the north there. Earlier on Fairbanks, that area a little bit farther to the north, and a more widespread area, light snow, fog along the Arctic coast and portions of the North Slope, as well as through the Bering Strait, with some flurries down to St. Lawrence Island. Very strong winds again wrapping in behind this intense low center as it tracks eastward here, gusting anywhere from 70 to 100 miles an hour. 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts recorded at False Pass this afternoon, and winds gusting over 70 miles per hour at Cold Bay. Beginning to drop back now there across the eastern Aleutians, but goes without saying there were hurricane force wind warnings, high wind warnings out for this area. Into this evening, winds beginning to drop off there, much lighter out toward Adak and Atka, all the way out to Shemya. And we'll see for tonight that front will advance eastward across the Gulf of Alaska, and by 3 a.m. tomorrow morning should lie roughly in this position. So rain and gusty winds coming into the southern southeast coast, northward beginning to mix, and there's a winter weather advisory out for Haynesboro, Klondike Highway, Lynn Canal for snow tonight. 3 to 7 inches in the forecast for those areas throughout the night tonight, and a mixed precipitation pattern again from, well, right along the North Gulf Coast, but inland areas, whatever falls will be in the form of snow, like from Valdez to Whittier, and Portage down to Seward. And there's a winter weather advisory for those areas tonight as well for 4 to 9 inches of snow. Turnagain Pass up to Portage, gusty winds there, snow and blowing snow over those deuce visibilities later on. Areas of snow along the Alaska Range, most of Cook Inlet and the eastern Kenai Peninsula from about Anchor Point north up to Palmer should be snow-free through most of the night. Then you get into the northern Susitna Valley, on up into the Tanana Valley, an area of light snow that'll extend up across the Yukon Flats over to about Barter Island, Kaktovik, and that diminishes. Variable clouds, a few flurries possible in the Koyukuk Valley. Same pattern up along the Arctic coast there that you saw today. Most of this snow action here will be mostly to the west, could catch Cape Lisburne, Point Hope, but that'll mostly come down to the south. So St. Lawrence Island, continue the pattern you saw today with winds not all that strong, but could see some IFR up here with the light snow and lower cloud deck clearing out here, or staying clear, for the Kuskokwim Valley northward there into Kotzebue Sound, and winds diminishing, higher pressure, so becoming a little more westerly there for the eastern Aleutians. Rain or snow showers there for the Alaska Peninsula, definitely winds coming down, but on the increase off to the east, northeast Bristol Bay. And snowfall levels dropping as that northwest wind ushers in the colder air to Kodiak Island. So rain becoming mixed rain and snow, tending to change over to mostly snow the later in the night we get tonight. And then that next system out here pulls up to the northeast. It was just south of Amchitka, so that'll spread some more rain and snow into the central Aleutian areas. Snow showers back to the west, and a narrow band of light snow here possible from the Pribilof Island areas, but most of that moisture will be back to the west. And then for tomorrow, that low center tracks northeastwards. Looks like rain and snow for St. Paul and St. George, and along this front down across the Alaska Peninsula. But a much lighter wind day tomorrow, definitely, than what you saw today out there. Some scattered snow showers from roughly Nelson Lagoon on up to Pilot Point and maybe King Salmon. But clearing out, colder air, drier conditions, partly sunny skies tomorrow for Kodiak Island, but a lot windier. And also getting pretty breezy here across south central Alaska in some areas like Kamishak Bay, and probably for Resurrection Bay up to Seward, and the channeled areas here across the western Alaska Range with light snow, possible chance of snow now, possibly as far east as northern Cook Inlet, then northward there across the Matanuska Valley into the Tanana Valley, areas of snow. And again, that pattern right up to the eastern Arctic coast, but drier conditions in the west, colder temperatures here with the mostly clear skies and light winds. This area of snow mostly due to the cold Arctic air out over the still open waters there, so that picks up some moisture. So a lot of IFR right through this area with fog and some light snow, and snow showers mostly covering the western central Bering Sea, some of that, but not really heavy or widespread, rotating in across the Aleutians. And then we'll see the low here drives eastward there, but weakens. So pretty wet day, precipitation in the form of rain or snow, depending on your elevation down here to the south, but that hanging on up over, say, from Juneau on up to Skagway, Lynn Canal, and Haines, probably mostly in the form, or will be in the form of snow. And again, looking for 3 to 7 inches to fall tonight, and that'll probably continue into tomorrow as well, drying out along the North Gulf Coast there. Copper River Basin, mostly dry, maybe a few breaks in the clouds. And then for Monday, that system pulls off to the east. Just got a band of snow showers here across the eastern panhandle on up towards Skagway, drying out. Look for some clearing there. Sitka to Port Alexander, on down to Craig and Klawock, maybe Heidelberg for the afternoon. Partly sunny Yakutat, scattered snow showers, Prince William Sound area, but possibly Whittier, mostly dry. Cook Inlet starting to clear out here over the northern areas. Just a little bit of flurry conditions there over the eastern Alaska Range. Otherwise, bulk of the moisture now and snow off into Canada. But Eagle will be right on the western edge of that. A lot of clear skies here and light winds over the interior. definitely keeping the temperatures down below zero. And that pattern here with the areas light snow and fog continuing. So a chance from Wainwright to Point Lay, right on through the Bering Strait down to St. Lawrence Island, but winds remain light in this area. And then this low comes eastward here, and that brings a pretty good chance of snow to the Alaska Peninsula, all the way back, probably ending there for Unalaska, but having trouble making it to the north coast into, say, King Salmon, Dillingham, Togiak area. So most of that moisture will be down along the peninsula. Breaking out for the Pribilofs there, northeast winds, colder temperatures, snow showers either to the west or to the south, but very isolated down toward the central Aleutians there. Higher pressure building in ahead of the next strong storm system coming onto the edge of the map there. So that'll bring some gale force winds late in the day here to the eastern Aleutians and swell craft advisories to the west central areas. And for temperatures this afternoon, mostly 30s to mid 40s there, quite a range across the southeast coast with 30 degrees at Wrangell and 45 out at Sitka, 36 Craig, Klawock, as well as Annette, 35 up at Skagway. Juneau had 41, 37 in Yakutat, Cordova, mid 30s today, and not on there, Valdez with snow had 25, otherwise Seward 27, 37 at Homer, lower 40s here, Kodiak Island, and 0 to 10 across Copper River Basin. Teens from Anchorage northward to Palmer through the Matanuska-Susitna valleys, north of the mountains, mostly below zero. Tok at 10 below, while Fairbanks was -5, 5 above over at McGrath, and Tanana right at 0. Dropped down to 12 below at Bettles, 13 below Anatuvik, with -8 recorded at Fort Yukon. A little below zero across the north slope, -1 Umiat Airfield, and also over at Kaktovik, 8 above at Barrow, back down to -2 at Point Lay, and generally below zero here over the northwest with Deering down to -19, Elam -6, 0, both at Nome and Shishmaref with a 4-degree reading at Wales. 19 at Savunga with just 5 degrees there at Bethel this afternoon. Same thing over here at Tuksuk Bay, 8 above, 22 there at Kaliganik with 36 at St. Paul. Lower 40s here from Nikolsky, right up to mid 40s for the peninsula, and then dropping back into the 30s out to the west. Lows for tonight, below zero to 20 to 30 below here over the northern interior. South of the mountains, 20s above zero. Out to Bristol Bay, 30s Alaska Peninsula, 30s for the Panhandle. Highs for tomorrow, 30s, lower 40s here for the southeast coast, 20s to near 30s South Central Alaska, warmest along the coast, of course, 30s to lower 40s again for the Alaska Peninsula, and staying well below zero north of the Tanana Valley. Flying weather, IFR, Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound, and with that front coming into the southeast coast. Also up here over the northeast with the snow, and back across the north slope to the western Arctic coast. Tomorrow afternoon improves here over the western areas. IFR mostly from the Alaska Range early on, northeastward across the Tanana Valley, on up to the eastern Arctic coast and north slope. IFR now along the eastern Panhandle, improving gradually in the afternoon. Areas of marginal VFR, eastern Bering Sea, northward to the Bering Strait. Passes marginal VFR becomes VFR for Adigan, or for Anatuvik and Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal becoming VFR, and rainy should be VFR the entire day. Windy, occasionally marginal, possibly. And for Isabel, VFR, Mentasta, same forecast. And for Tanina, marginal VFR becoming IFR. And for Portage, IFR for Chilkoot and White. Freezing levels out west, just the surface here across the central Bering Sea, 2,000 feet, Kodiak Island, up close to the North Gulf Coast, but just to the south and then on down to the southeast. Looking at icing, areas of possible here above about 4,000 feet, one batch of moisture along the coast, the other one pushing eastward. Possibility of some icing here, Kenai Peninsula up through the Susitna Valley. Otherwise, pretty much icing free over the interior, and then icing below about, or above about 5,000 feet here from the Pribilofs down to the eastern Aleutians. Jet stream, main jet to the south here at about 150 knots, upper level low off the southeast coast, And then the Arctic jet here, southwest 40 to 50 knots, mostly from Norton Sound onto the northeast across Kaktovik. 9,000 feet. Westerlies 45 to 55 as that next low tracks northeastward there. 45 knots coming back into the eastern Aleutians. 35 to 40 there across Kodiak Island. 3,000 feet, much the same pattern. Strongest right through here, also out over the Aleutians, but much lighter than today. Light variable winds for the interior. Turbulence, occasional moderate chop, southern southeast coast in this area, smoother to the north. And then mechanical turbulence here, the gradient along the Alaska Range, right down across Kodiak Island, and also for the eastern Aleutians, possibly as far west as Atka. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Man, give me a hand.
Unfortunately, many of the old treatments can be dangerous.
Really, I'm going, I'm all right.
For example, don't rewarm the whole body by putting the victim in a hot shower. A hot shower or tub rewarms the surface of arms and legs. This sends a message to the body that it's okay to open circulation to those cold extremities. Vital warm blood sent from the core rapidly cools as it passes through cold arms and legs. When it gets back to the heart, that shot of cold blood can cause an unusual heartbeat, which results in the heart muscle starting to shiver rather than pump. The patient then has a heart attack. Another old treatment is to give alcohol. It's also dangerous. Like a hot shower, it fools the body into thinking it's warm when it isn't.
Want to give him some coffee?
In fact, any liquid can be dangerous
No hot liquids.
because the hypothermia victim is not just cold. He may also be in shock, and you can't give any liquid to a shock victim. He could throw it up, draw the vomit into his lungs, and die from aspiration pneumonia.
Let's be real easy with him.
So, to treat hypothermia safely, be slow and gentle.
How you feeling, Hank?
Don't jar the victim. A hypothermia victim who is being rewarmed should be treated very gently. A sudden jar or shock can also cause an apparent heart attack. It is a fact that even though treatment is progressing, a hypothermia victim's body temperature continues to drop before it starts to rise again. The victim is very vulnerable at this time.
Nice and easy now.
To rewarm a hypothermia victim, use only those treatments that are always safe. The first part of treatment is to take them out of the cold to prevent further heat loss. At this point, the body may not be able to rewarm itself. Blankets will not rewarm a cold body. They only insulate. You need a heat source. First, wrap the cold arms and legs to keep them from rewarming too quickly as you attempt to rewarm the body core of the victim. Then, rewarm the high heat loss areas, the head, neck, armpits, sides, and groin of the victim. The most effective, safe way to rewarm hypothermia victims in the field is to use warm objects and body-to-body rewarming. Warm objects are literally anything that is warm, including warm rocks, lukewarm hot water bottles, warm heating pads, warm packs, or even warm potatoes. But be careful. Be absolutely sure that the objects are not hot. You can burn the victim because of their cold-induced numbness. Hypothermia victims won't be able to tell you if the object is too hot. Check on it yourself, like you would a baby's bath. If it feels uncomfortably warm to you, it's too hot for the victim.
This one, let's get this under his neck. Got a stocking cap ready? Yes. Hold his head up and slide it on. Okay, take it easy. Okay. Hey, Hank, lay your head down nice and easy. Okay. Let's see if we can't start warming up his sides. Let's go body to body. Just get your shirt off, right?
Body-to-body rewarming is when one or more warm, healthy people embrace the victim within some insulated shelter such as blankets or a sleeping bag. If this treatment is used, one should continue the treatment for at least an hour.
Okay, just take it easy now. We're going to stay here until you get a little bit warmer, okay?
We're not stay there forever. Wow.
Okay.
These rewarming treatments are safe, slow, and gentle. Don't rush them, and be sure to protect the victim from further cold and from shocks or sudden moves. To safely live and survive in a cold environment, you have to know about hypothermia. Hypothermia is the lowering of body core temperature. It's prevented by having adequate shelter for the body, proper clothing. Recognize hypothermia by the victim's physical symptoms and their exposure to the environmental conditions that cause it. Avoid total rewarming of the body. Do not give any liquids, especially hot liquids or alcohol. It's treated with warm objects or body-to-body rewarming, which is safe, slow, and gentle. Hypothermia is a physical condition. It affects the body. Yet a victim's will to live is often the decisive factor in whether or not they will survive.
Well, I always thought survival was physical. You know, if you was really strong, you could make it. But for some reason, I just said to myself, oh, heck, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm going to stay with it as long as I can. I did have a lot of water in my suit. I already had hypothermia before I hit the beach. And mainly, it was really hard because I couldn't swim. I didn't have no goal. It was just lay back in the water for the night and see where I was in the daytime. And of course, I didn't know if I'd be near land or not. I was hoping I would be. And it just got to be a battle with myself on thinking of the positive things.
It's a fact that people with mild cases of hypothermia have apparently given up and died, while others have survived under conditions we'd never believed possible. To know what it is, know how to prevent it, how to recognize it, and how to treat it. When was the last time you shivered from the cold?
Don't take your eye off of him!
Hypothermia is the lowering of the body core temperature. The best prevention for hypothermia is to stay dry.
Get those clothes off him!
It makes good sense to treat him for hypothermia.
Give me a hand.
Many of the old treatments can be dangerous.
Go on, we're all right.
Don't rewarm the whole body by putting the victim in a hot shower.
Want to give him some coffee?
You can't give any liquid to a shock victim.
How you feeling, Hank?
Be slow and gentle.
Nice and easy now.
Blankets will not rewarm a cold body. You need a heat source. Lukewarm hot water bottles, warm heating pads, warm packs, or even warm potatoes.
Okay, just take it easy now. We're going to stay here until you get a little bit warmer, okay?
Oh, man, stay there forever. Wow.
Okay.
Welcome back. We've got small craft advisories here along the coast, south to southwest. Here for the south coast and southeast, turning east. For the north coast there, 25 to 30 knots, seas running 14 to 17 feet. Small craft advisories are Clarence Strait as well as Stevens Passage. And winds becoming north in the afternoon for Northern Canal, 20 knots, and then swinging around back to the south on Monday, but pretty light, just down to 15. South 15 for Stevens Passage. West winds, 25 knots for Clarence Strait. And gales here on the extreme south coast with seas up to 26 feet. Otherwise, small craft advisories for the rest of the coastline there, all out of the west, and seas over 20 feet. For Prince William Sound tomorrow, as well as northern Cook Inlet, northeast at 15. Winds becoming northwest, about 20 there for the North Gulf Coast, but seas up to 15 feet. 40 knot northwesterlies, increased to 45 knots out of the west here for the Barren Islands. And definitely a big increase in the winds here for Kodiak Island later tonight and tomorrow. Gales Shelikof Strait, gales up across Kamishak Bay. 30 knot westerlies south of the Forelands. And then for Monday, much lighter winds north to northeast, 10 to 15 for Cook Inlet. No change for Prince William Sound. Westerly gales here along the North Gulf Coast, seas 12 to 15 feet. Small craft advisories for the Barren, Kodiak Island, northeast 20 for Shelikof Strait. Bristol Bay, northwest 25. Storm warnings starting the day out here. Castle Cape to Sitkinak. Those coming down in the afternoon or even before noon, probably dropping below 50 knots. Gales here on the south side of the peninsula. For Monday, southwest 25 to 30 for the Alaska Peninsula. East winds 25 knots for Bristol Bay. The Aleutians, west-northwest 30 knots here from Adak on out west. Gales from Adak and Atka, 35 to 40 knot winds right across the Fox Islands. And then for Monday, comes down, still 30 to 35 knot-ish here there for the Unalaska Island, but dropping back 20 knots for the central Aleutians. Next storm coming in, beginning to affect the area. 35 knots for the western Aleutians. Bering Sea, north 25, St. Lawrence Island. Southeast 25 in the afternoon for the Pribilof. Seas at about 15 or at 10 feet, 15 knot winds for the southwest coast. And for Monday, 30 knot winds here for the southwest coast. Light for St. Lawrence Island. Small craft advisory, St. Matthew Island. Northerly gales for the Pribilofs. Very light winds on the eastern Arctic coast for tomorrow. Central coast variable at 10. North 25 from Cape Beaufort down to Wales. Monday, much lighter winds there, north to east, 15 knots, northeast, give or take there on the west side. North for the central coast, westerlies at 10 over to Demarcation Point. For tonight again, a front brings some rain and moisture. Winter weather advisory out for the northern Panhandle, Lynn Canal, Klondike Highway, Haynesboro, those areas, 4 to 7 inches of snow possible. Also for us, winter weather advisory for Turnagain Pass, Portage, up to 9 inches of snow possible, some of that blowing around. Winds coming into Kodiak, colder temperatures, winds gradually dropping off for the Alaska Peninsula. And then for tomorrow, that front in the low center pushed due east here, so pretty wet conditions. Depending on your elevation, whether that'll be rain or snow for the southern Panhandle, but lingering snow up to the north. Strong winds again, gale force westerlies, maybe gusts 60 miles an hour, Kodiak Island. Clearer and colder out west with this next system, which Monday brings some more snow into the Alaska Peninsula. Fair and cool over the interior.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.